of like the Brady Bunch screen, isn't it? Hello, everybody, and welcome to Monarchs Mocha. It kind of looks like the Brady Bunch. I mean, it's kind of like that. It's kind of got the bells and whistles there. Good morning to you. It's actually lunchtime. It's time for a little Monarchs Mocha. Welcome to Canada. Let's do it in 3, 2, 1. Let's roll. Oh, yes, the jazzy coffee music. I mean, one thing and one thing only. It's Monarchs Mocha time on a Monday. Happy Monday to you. Let me bring that down and let that fade down a little bit, and it will here in a second. I'll just fast forward it. There we go. There we go. That's done. Good morning. Good afternoon. It's lunchtime, and welcome to Winnipeg, Manitoba. I've got the blinds closed. If I opened them, you would see it was a light rain. About to hit the streets and do a little running or jogging or whatever it is I do. But I just looked out the window. It was raining again. It stopped. It's supposed to stop between about 2 o'clock. So it did rain most of the evening coming in from the border, which is about an hour or so south of here. It started to cloud up about 125 miles out, but that was around just on the side of Fargo, between Fargo and Grand Forks. And then really we got the border. Of course, we're covered when we come in, but light mist. And then by the time we got to Winnipeg, it was raining and all good. So as a matter of fact, I'm trying to determine what their pitching staff is. I do have our rotation. Obviously, it's going to be Matt Hartman, Matt Hall, and Nick Belzer, but I am at the moment trying to source their rotation. And I was actually typing that email up to Steve Schuster when I realized, oh wait, the clock's gone down. Now we're here for 3 days. We will get out of the hotel tomorrow. We're in the room obviously today. That's pretty clear. But it's the first day is always the best day before I tear the room up. So this is all good. Although I didn't make my bed yet, honey. But there's that. And I like it when DB does work when he's supposed to be talking to y'all. All right, thumbs up. You hear me? Let me double check and see what we got here. You guys are hearing me. Let's see what you guys are hearing. Yeah, it's like, well, DB, if you're not really paying attention to us, then why should we pay attention to you? But come on, pay attention to me. Glad you guys are here. And let's just check the audio level on the show. Sounds pretty good. There's Dan out there. Good to see Dan out there watching. Bring the volume down here. There we go. Dan out there watching. How did everybody feel over the weekend? Well, first off, you see the Roastery logo there. I did as promised. See that? Tell anybody. I made it across. So don't tell a soul. Might as well drink it right now, right? Correct? But how'd you feel the weekend? Did it feel, was that a good sweep? Sweet sweep, Dan says. Did you guys all feel fairly good about that? I think really there's not much to really sniff at. I think maybe, and this is again, it's hard to do this when a team's been this good. So where did my screen go? Oops. There we go. Oh, sorry about that. Where my screen went over there. There we go. It's hard to be picky when this team's been so good, right? I mean, this team's been really good. And we've had this problem over the course of the year where we will kind of perhaps nitpick. Let me move this around. Move me here. That doesn't look as good, does it? Anyway. All right. Anyway, getting text and stuff as we chat here. But anyway, brought to you by the Roastery Company, 6 locations. Let's get that out of the way. Roastery Company, we love them. 6 locations in Kansas City. Each cafe is individually tailored to the neighborhood. And of course, I love the factory store down in Southwest. But if you can't make it out to one of those 6 locations around the area, Price Chopper is a good place to go. They do carry the cold brew there. Or maybe probably should do a better job of it. There we go. That's where I got this, actually. Also, the Legend Blend and all that. And other grocers. If you've got a grocer you like, hit them up too. And they'll be very happy to sell you some roastery coffee. So I'm going to bring that logo down, bring me back in. So I had to make the bed. But, yeah, so have a fun with the sweep. I think really not much to complain about. I think in the postseason, the only thing that you're really concerned about, and I don't know if this has been a high leverage game, if you would have seen the combo platter you got in the bullpen yesterday, although Frank Rubio's pitched very, very well for you. He just had a bad outing, and he'd had some really good outings. And so if that's his bad outing out of the way, he's got 4 or 5 more in him, well, then that's all good. Optically, your starting rotation did what the rotation has done despite the comings and goings of your offense, which has had some comings and goings. No secret there. I'm sure I'll get a barrage of questions of where Matt Adams is and why do we release him, because they don't understand that you can't just carry folks around that can't play. Matt Adams will be here if he can play. That's the bottom line. But again, I digress. Rotation was very good this week. Brock Gilliam, who is back in Kansas City, I do believe. He and Jalen Miller both went back to KC. They didn't make the trip up, and that's only guys who did make the trip up, to my knowledge, along with John West, who's back in KC as well because of work commitments. They're on the north side. That's it. Everybody else crossed, including McGrain, who didn't come last time. Hartman's here. He will start tonight. So everybody is here, including even new players like Alex Valdez and Dylan Harris. There was no issues for this club. This club faces no issues coming to Canada. Don't discount that, because there's a good chance we'll be back here in a week's time. I know that sounds crazy. Or I say a week's time, fortnight. Well, not even fortnight. 10 days is a fortnight. So Wednesday, it's a good chance this club's back here on Wednesday next week. Now, I don't say that for the guarantee, because a lot of things that happen in between now and then, and a lot of it depends on what happens. A lot of it depends on what matter. I just got this, and I need to forward this on. You guys want to work with me real quick? Let's work together. There we go. This is what we do. We get the rotations, we share it, and we're going to copy and paste. I'm going to send this to Joe. You guys watch me work live. He's working live, folks. There we go. Working live. There we go. What happens, to pull the curtain back, each broadcaster and our media person, in Fargo's case, broadcaster in everybody else's case, usually gets the rotation and sends the rotation and the roster, day of or a day before, to exchange starters. Let them know who's starting. They let us know probables, right? And they have a roster, so that's what we're doing right there. So anyway, they got in late last night too. I believe they crossed. I don't know if they crossed before or after us, because there was one of their players was here last night at the hotel, but he may not have gone down. No, he was with them. Take it back. It's that Deion Stafford. He was with them. So they must have got him before we did. They played at they got done. We were on the road. So they probably did beat. Yeah, I'm sure they did beat us across, because they were already, 200 miles north of us. Yeah, so I'm sure they beat us across. Anyway, I'm scatter shooting here, aren't I? Back to what I was talking about. All right, the rotation. You got 3 good swings in the rotation this weekend. Gilliam, Belzer. All right, let's go back, rewind the clock here, because it was actually Miller, Gilliam, and Belzer on Friday. I've got them all backwards. Belzer, Gilliam, and then Miller. And those two, the final 2 went back to Kansas City, I do believe. And then Nick's here with us because Nick will start on Wednesday. Tomorrow, Matt Hall. Tonight, Matt Hartman. So that's your rotation going forward here. But again, the bullpen did give a run up on Saturday, but it was clean sheet on Friday night. So I think that may be the only concern at the moment. Now the offense is different now. What I'm watching is a really neat. This offense reminds me a lot of the 2018 offense, and because it was really that 18 offense had a real good balanced attack. It could hurt you in several different ways. You had your guys that get aboard. You had your Mason Davis that could get aboard and steal the base and change a ball game, but also hit one in the gap. And we've seen Malik Smith get comfortable with the plate. We know what he can do in the bases. We've seen what they created on the bases yesterday, just flat out havoc. Grotjohn, which he wasn't here, and obviously he was here last year, but and then you remember Lago was kind of your big bat in the middle. Jan Hernandez is that guy, and he had a couple guys around him. You had several different guys around him that are complementary pieces. So Keith Curcio, players like that. It reminds me a lot of that ball club, and this club is a little different than it was 2 weeks ago. Not drastically different, but 2 weeks ago. Now remember, you came to Canada without David Thompson. Okay, so that was you've already been without him now just about 3 weeks, almost 3 weeks. So you've learned to adjust to life. It's the Matt Adams thing you're having to learn to adjust to, and Joe's sort of been doing that with a different approach. Granted, Jacob Robson's not really the guy that normally would be in that spot, but he has delivered in that spot and has been in a really consistent RBI machine. Now he's not, and I think teams are probably going to take him a little lightly, not because he's a light player. I think they're going to think, oh, well, to face Matt Adams, but Robson's been pretty tough. He had a little bit of a couple of games. He was quiet, but he had a big game yesterday. And John Hernandez is doing what John Hernandez does. He's been pretty steady. And where it reminds me of that 18 club is that club had a lot of folks that were kind of unsung heroes. J.C. Escobar comes to mind. He was a guy that, kind of down at the bottom of the card, you think of an Adrian Nieto type player from back in those days, kind of unsung guy that you don't really think about because it's not our fault, because I think what we do as fans, we get fired up for the big blast, and we've seen Jan and what Matt Adams have done, and David Thompson to a certain degree with those two especially, and you kind of forget that, oh, by the way, Darnell Sweeney has got, he's got double-digit home runs. Oh, by the way, Casey Gillespie, he's got double-digit home runs. And by the way, Casey's been very good in the road. Been good in this ballpark. He was also good in Fargo. He was also very good, and he's been good in Sioux City. He's been good in all the ballparks we're playing in right now. He's been good, really good at road numbers. But again, it reminds me a lot of that ball club. The only difference is getting to the back end. I think that's kind of the difference. That seems to be a bit in flux just from a optical standpoint. I don't know if that's just me seeing it or if you guys are seeing it too. But, the bullpen, had a 1-0 lead. Now, granted, I should probably digress because the Saturday night game was a 1-0 lead. I probably should discuss that too. We didn't discuss that. Yes, Karen, I'll be happy to give you that. Well, he was released last week. Adams has a very severe hamstring injury. I don't know if the word is actually a tear, but it's a major strain, pull, strain, whatever you want to call it. Hamstrings have different severities, right? Just about any injury these days has a mild sprain, grade 2, whatever, right? His is the worst of the bunch is what my understanding is. I don't think it's a tear, which is even worse, obviously, but either way, he is not available the rest of the year. The Monarchs are forced to release him because you can't carry – he was not going to be able to play for this ball club. He was not going to be able to play for this ball club until next year, and the team needed bodies and had to grab some pitching, which, by the way, those two guys have done a very good job. Jalen Miller and Alex Valdez have been very big pieces of the puzzle down there, which may right the ship down there. And I can see, Obviously, with Jalen Miller going back in the rotation, that's putting Jordan Martinson back in the bullpen, where I think Joe really feels confident. I think the staff feels confident. Matt does too. It just is a tad here. There we go. They feel confident down there. But yeah, Matt, unfortunately, is done for the year. And really, it's about his health, about him getting ready to chase his dreams again, because he's a guy that should be in a big league camp this year. When the Major League Baseball shift is done, he'll get a chance for a job as a DH or a part-time DH or whatever. He'll get that. He'll get a chance for that. He's still got a lot left the tank, and he will. It is. It's unfortunate because we can't. You've already got guys on you've already got guys on an active list that could remember how the roster works, Kenny. Oh, just to refresh everybody out there. Currently, let me just pull the roster up. I had it up a moment ago when I sent this Schuster. Currently, as it's constructed, Kansas City has got 2 on the injured list and 2 on the inactive list, right? Is the way it's sitting right now. Now, the injured list with John Harris and Lewis Thorpe, I do think you're going to see Lewis perhaps over the weekend. I think he may make an appearance. He could even make an appearance in the bullpen here. I don't know how that works and who gets put on what. I don't know. See, 12, 17, 23. Let me don't count my numbers here. 12, 17, 19. So there's 25 here. Who would be sitting? I don't know. I mean, who would they sit? I don't know. They can move somebody retroactive to last weekend or to this last weekend and move them to the injured list for the week and then worry about it the postseason and when the roster comes out with the postseason. But you've also got Ibadel Isabel and Gabby Guerrero on that list. And also David Thompson is on your roster. See, David Thompson still sits on your roster. So you've got, and I'm not saying that this is going to happen. I'm not even saying that. But the possibility exists. The possibility would be out there. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm not telling this is happening. This is just a roster situation. But David Thompson is still on your roster, active, and he would be part of the club if he chose to be part of the club. If he comes back from his personal issues, he's got some family issues going on, and if he thinks those things are done and ready, he can be back, and he's on your active roster. Now, the other move would be to take him off the roster, release him if he's not coming back. Does that mean Gabby Guerrero's coming back? No, the door's open, though, right? Even though Isabel's been dealing with the visa issue all year. Now, I don't know the status on that. I don't know if that's – but the point is all those pieces, the Gabby and Ibadel and then David Thompson, those 3 pieces, 2 on the inactive, 1 on your active, are all there because they could be put back on the active and the inactive list. The inactive players can go back on the roster because they're under contract. Thompson's under contract, still on your roster. Your 2 guys on the disabled. So see what I'm saying is, even though the roster is frozen going forward as of last Saturday, you can add from within. So that's why these pieces, and that's why it goes back to Matt Adams. There wasn't a place to keep a guy who was not good. There's no doubt that Matt Adams is not. The doctor said, and he had multiple opinions, he would not be able to play this weekend, next weekend, 2 weeks from now. He's at least going to be probably October before he's able to kind of sort of get his sea legs again, okay? That's where he is. So with that being said, you can't, and it's unfortunate, yes, I agree with you. It's unfortunate you can't keep a taxi squad or whatever. It's unfortunate. I would like to see guys. Here's where I am kidding on it. Optically, and I use that word a lot, it looks bad. It doesn't make the club look bad. I think it makes us all look bad, only because I get the question asked, and I got at least 5 of these direct messages saying, what happened? Why did you release Matt Adams? I thought he was doing good. Fans don't understand this part of the business. They just don't. It's not their fault. It's complex. Why the roster goes the way it is and why it's manipulated the way it is, even at the big league level, is a headache. I mean, Kenny and I are Ranger fans, but you Royal fans know what I'm talking about. Trying to figure out who's in the 40-man on the active, who's on the 90-day, who got DFA'd. I mean, it is a head scramble. I mean, the Eric Stout deal, former Monarch, who went to big leagues, was taken off the big league roster of Chicago, DFA'd, but then they got it because they had a 10-day window. They were able to trade him to Pittsburgh, where he goes to AAA and eventually goes to big leagues. It's hard to keep up with that because there's a lot of business in baseball. Baseball does things different than any other game out there. I mean, in the NBA, they signed you to a series with 10-day contracts, right? The NFL has a practice squad, and that's, obviously the preseason roster is whatever it is, their practice squad. But baseball's got an active roster, a 40-man roster. They've got there's the whole thing of the what's that? I came in the draft now. It's the Rule 5 draft, both big league and minor league Rule 5 draft. People are like, what the hell is that? Baseball's got a lot of things. And it's very hard to explain. And I've tried to explain this to the Australian fans. I'm trying to explain to them what options mean, right? When you take up the American Association, it's complicated too. This is not easy to understand because, a guy can play, can't play. Well, yes. Why can't we keep him around? Because he's hurt. You can keep him around because he's hurt, but you've already got 2 other guys who are hurt. You only got 2 spaces for hurt guys, right? So you can't just put 10 guys on the hurt list. It's unfortunate, but you can't. Now, during the COVID year, they did have an extra spot, and for 1 year, it was just one inactive spot, one DL spot prior to COVID. Now they've gone and expanded it. But that's the thing you run into because you're having to try to keep a guy. And again, I don't think fans understand it. And I had a guy just like saying, I don't get that. I don't understand it. Why would you? I'm like, it's not because he's not wanted. It's not because he's not wanted. And you see a lot of teams do this. I see teams releasing guys because they can't go across to Canada. And fans don't quite understand that either. And again, I'm not saying that fans are dumb. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it gets complicated and we have to explain ourselves out of it. And I don't like that part because I don't think that's fair to the player or to the organization and the league for that matter. I mean, the league, it's optically a bad look when, what would have happened if we would, let's just say we released David Thompson for personal reasons. Let's say David Thompson has to go on an active list because of personal reasons, right? We have to release him because I'll just take David Thompson out. But let's say player A is released because we don't have room in our inactive list because he's having a major health scare that's not related to baseball. Let's just say that's the case, which is not the case for David. Let's just say that's the case. Let's say the guy's recovering from something and had a relapse, but he's not injured. He can still play, but doctor's orders want him to take some time off. What do you do there? You release a guy because he's sick? Family has a tragedy somewhere, and you release a guy because of a tragedy. Now, in the big leagues, they have bereavement list, and they have paternity list. Paternity list. When a player gets kids born, they can be with them. And I love that. There are those lists out there, and that's again that also complicates things too. But he did everything we were hoping and more. And again, I really hope this time next year we're watching him in a playoff run or down the stretch playing for a team. And I guarantee you, he's the kind of guy that doesn't forget what he's about and where he's from. I mean, he's a good man of faith. He's a very good dude. Of all the times I've been as long as I've been in this business, he is the biggest name that's played in this league. And he handled it with class and dignity. He was accommodating when he was best as he could. I mean, obviously there are times when you're getting your work done. There was sometimes we couldn't accommodate everything. We couldn't accommodate every interview request, but we did a lot. He did a lot of stuff for the team. The Savannah Banana games, he was phenomenal. I mean, he didn't have to do that. He didn't go out there and do a face off, way off, and wrestle off, whatever it was he was doing, dance off. He did it with a smile on his face, and he was always accommodating. I know that fans throughout the league enjoyed meeting him. Here, Craig Coleman is a good mate of ours. He was even talking about what a great guy he was, and he was always kind to me. I mean, I try to handle myself in a I don't try to whip these guys into submission by just bugging them all the time. How was the big leagues? I don't do that. But he was always kind to me, nice to me, and we chatted here and there. And I let him do his business. That's how I try to do my business. So yeah, he'll be missed. And again, but I hope you guys understand, because I was telling that to, gosh, I don't know who I was telling that to earlier, but that the optics sometimes look a little odd. Again, people don't understand that. And it's not a knock on people. It's just that the way the roster is, you have 25 spots on your roster, and those are valuable spots. And you also throw the fact that you also have to have so many veterans, LS1s, 2s, 3s, 4s. That's the roster classification on how many years a guy's played. So that math's got to work too. So that's not as simple as, well, a guy's hurt, can we just keep him around? Yes, but you're already keeping around two that are hurt, and you already got another guy that's taking up a roster spot. So yeah, you bet. That's what I'm here for, Karen. I appreciate you as well. Appreciate you and you guys' questions and comments here. Let me show the standings too, but thank you, Karen. Appreciate you as always. Good to see Meredith out there and Tim as well. Everybody's doing well. We're coming to you from Winnipeg, from the Radisson in Winnipeg. Won't tell you what floor, but we're brought to you by the Roastery Coffee Company. Cold brew made it. I somehow rationed it across. I didn't even know I had it in there. Actually, my cooler, I had my snacks and I got Gatorade and a water maybe, and across. So Kenny says Joe's done an amazing job at the Rock. Yes, that's why. Again, and I said this in the broadcast the other night on Saturday night. And yes, that was a major bullpen meltdown on Saturday. But I said it in the broadcast, I said, regardless of what happens in this series, regardless of what happens the rest of the year, and let me just give you a couple of things that I broadcast. Let me give a couple of things that you may have missed. And let me give you what I'm going to talk about here. The Monarchs over the weekend, before I get the standings, let me go back up the top here on my list. The Monarchs this weekend won their 59 ball game. 59 ball games they won so far. Now we've got another 7 to go, starting tonight in Canada. That puts this club currently third all time in franchise history in wins and losses. Third all time, and that goes back to Duluth as well. Now here are your numbers: 21, 69, and 31. You're not going to get there, but you're going to be close. 18 championship year, 62 and 37. It's number 2. Third best record, still to be determined, 59 and 34. You passed the 19 team, which was a division-winning team. Then you go back 2010 at 58 and 42, which was the same as 2019. The 2017, not a playoff year, but Joe's first year, you missed by a tiebreaker, 57 and 43. Then 2012, 51 and 39. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 7 have come since 17. Who's been the manager since 17? Who's been the first base coach? Who's been the third base coach? Who's been your bench coach? Right? You've changed brands, but that has all stayed the same between the lines. And I that is impressive. One more thing. And I don't know, and this could be full. I asked this question to Joe, and I think the answer is players, but the Monarchs yesterday struck out, I believe, 12, and that tied a franchise record of 897 set in 2017, a non-playoff year with the first year. Strikeout as a weapon. Remember that whole line I talked about? That's now 800 strikeouts as a staff in a 100-game season. 100-game season, 800 strikeouts as a staff. This club has done it now 5 consecutive years. Who's been the manager? Who's been getting the talent? It's like the old Bill Parcells, who's shopping the groceries, who's doing the grocery shopping. That's what it is. And the Monarchs have a chance averaging 6.6 strikeouts per game, or the next 7, I think I put 8, but 7, would set a new association mark. Now, someone brought up on the broadcast of the night, they said, well, it was a different league then, players were different company. Yes, yes, and yes. Yeah, yeah. Sneedo was in my cooler, knucklehead. um, but yeah, strikeouts are a weapon. And again, the numbers are impressive. But again, these are things being done under this current culture, staff, whatever. And I know I champion this a lot. I know some folks probably roll their eyes and go, there goes DB again. But I don't think people quite understand it. I had a random staff member at our ballpark who did not, by no means, this a slap, but a random staff member kind of said, oh, well, another year of that, right? Well, I'm like, well, yeah, but it doesn't happen like that every year, right? I mean, it was about the home run record. It didn't happen like that for a long time. I mean, this club's been playing a while. I mean, granted, it's not the 1920s, but this club began in 1990. Let me pull this up here. I had these numbers up. I can keep the records up because this is the time of year records start getting hit and broken and all that. Where are we at? Here we go. Club began playing 93. I mean, the club in 94, this franchise won 19 games and lost 60. I mean, this club in Duluth, I'm looking at the Duluth numbers. The high win mark in Minnesota was 42, and they lost 42 the same year. I'm sorry, they went 42 and 42 and 43 and 43. They were 500 twice. Here's your win total in 93. 31, 94, 19, 95, 31, 42 and 96, 39 and 30 and 97, 29 and 98, 35 and 99, 43 in 2000, 34 in 2001, and 36 in 2002. That was all in Duluth. Okay, that wasn't a very good start. That includes a championship team that won 39 ball games. Another one, the playoff team that won was 500. Now, things improve a bit in Kansas City. 43 wins, 46 losses, 48 and 48, 45 and 49, 45 and 51, 44 and 52, 46 and 50, 46 and 50, 58 and 42, 48 and 42, 48 and 52, 51 and 49, 40 and 60, 48 and 52, 49 and 50, 49 and 58, 57 and 43, 62 and 37, 58 and 42, 69 and 31, and now question mark. And again, I'm not trying to be snarky here, but that is, I mean, granted, I put those on the screen. You guys will be going, oh wow, to see it on the screen is crazy. One more note to pass along to you that's also of note in this stretch right now. I can find it here. Now, your postseasons. Here's your postseason since 1993. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. 97, 2000, 2004, 2008, 2009, 2010. Then you go all the way to 2018, 19, and 21. Now you're going for the fourth time in a row. So 4 straight franchise playoff. Only time this franchise has gone back to back was in 9 and 10 prior. Again, I throw this out there because I don't think people realize just how good of times they're living in. I say living in. We're living in baseball times as Monarch fans. I don't think we realize that. This is a great time, and I encourage us all to embrace it. No matter what happens, 2 weeks from now or a week from now, if this thing is the Miles Wool Trophy again, let's enjoy it. If it's a tough series loss somewhere, let's embrace what's been going on. This is built differently, and everybody knows it, and this whole league knows it. And it's very cool to be part of this family and know that when we walk in that ballpark tonight, the Winnipeg Goldeyes used to walk into Gary, and when I was in Gary, and I'm like, that's a bad A team, man. They're bad A. Those guys are good. mean, I knew when Winnipeg rolled in and Fargo Moorhead rolled in, those are legitimate. When Doug Simon walked in with that ball club in Fargo, and when that Winnipeg with Rick Forney walked in, I'm like, that's legitimate baseball. When Wichita came to town in Gary, that's legitimate. All right? Here, little old rail cats, they'd roll into town and the old little buddies, you know. Hey, the T-Bones are just like that. T-Bones are little buddies. Hey, how you doing, little buddy? But this is different. You walk into town, you're the Kansas City Monarchs, and you're good, and you've got a chance every night. I mean, Sioux Falls is as hard as they battled this weekend, and they had a chance on Saturday, and they came back 1-0, but they couldn't muster anything in the extra innings. Yesterday, they got down so far with a good pitcher on the mound, they couldn't recover. Even though they scored 8 runs, that game was over. It was 13-2. Friday night, they got dominated. I mean, really got shut down. And I mean, this is a great time, man. I hope you guys understand that. I hope I tomato, very funny, Stino. And I hope we're all understanding that. That's why I sort of, as a broadcaster and as a member of the family, have taken it for granted myself a little bit. That as I was adding in my head yesterday and I was walking or Saturday, going, okay, how many wins have I called in this booth? Not in this booth, but in the booth, my virtual booth in my head. Oh, gee, it's a lot of games to call that have been winners. I mean, we're 24 games, 25 games above 500. Is that right? What I got here? You can see that I didn't pass algebra the first time. We are a season high 25 above. So 25% of the time more, is that how it works? I mean, 59 wins. I mean, as a broadcaster, 34 losses, that didn't seem like, I mean, it looks like a lot on paper, but when I think about it mentally, there were some times where in other organizations where it wasn't like that. You lose 7 in a row and 8 in a row on a regular basis, and you're like, well, what's gonna melt down tonight? That doesn't happen here. And I don't think we don't realize that. Again, this is kind of turned a DB sermon. That's sort of like a Monday sermon after a Sunday, right? You know. But anyway, your thoughts and comments while I get the standings up. I do want to hear from y'all. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Am I off base there? Are we all guilty of doing the same thing? Are we embracing it? Are we embracing this like we should? Are we embracing it? And you know, what can we do better? I mean, where are the things you're concerned about? I mean, I think that if you look at the weekend series, there were a couple of things that would concern you, and it would be on Saturday night, not able to put them away. A little bit on Sunday, but that game was again 13-2. You could roll the ball to the plate, right? No, it didn't make any difference. I mean, it made a difference, but I mean, still, you don't be the team that got beat after being up 13-2 either. So there's that. But anyway, questions and comments when I pull the standings up here and tell you we're the only game tonight. It's this week and the week that is, or week that was last week and the week that is this week. To tell you where everybody is tonight and what you should be worried about this week, besides our games. And the magic number is 5, I believe, for Fargo at the win yesterday. Now, that number can only go down tonight if Kansas City was to lose. The Monarchs lost, that would go to 4. Kansas City wins, it stays at 5. It's any combination of wins and losses. Now, remember, though, even when it gets to 0, that doesn't mean they've actually clinched, because the Monarchs, assuming Kansas City would win, assuming the Monarchs could win 2 ball games this weekend, that the way the math works out, if you do tie them, the tiebreaker belongs to you. Because right now the Monarchs have a 4-2 lead in the series. So you got to win 2 to make it 2 makes, is that right? I'm going to do the math. 4-2. Well, 8-2, because you're only going to play them 10 times. So 4-2, 5-2, 6-2, 5-2. Yeah, they have to win this. They got to win the series to beat you head to head. Does that make sense? So if they come with the magic number of 0, it's really actually going to be magic number -1, because They've got to be. They cannot finish tied with you. They got to finish ahead of you, assuming you win the series. And if you split that 4-game series, I mean that it could come down to that, depending on what happens this week. And what they've got, they're off tonight. Tomorrow, Sioux City will host Fargo. That is the series they'll play tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday before they come to Kansas City on Friday. We'll have the off day before them. Their off days today. The league-wide off days today, except for Kansas City and Winnipeg, our off day will be on Thursday because we're traveling, and everybody else will be playing. We'll be off on Thursday, so we have no game of the week on Facebook for like the third week in a row. The league's been loving putting us on though, but so Fargo's there, and then Winnipeg's got us, and Winnipeg's got Sioux Falls this weekend. Winnipeg cannot catch the Monarchs for second position. Impossible math. They are 9 back with 7 to play. That is impossible math, and plus the head-to-head, so they couldn't even tie it. So that is done. They're locked at the moment, the 3rd seed. Let's check the standings. Let's see how everything looks, because we'll just show it to you right now. I bring the graphics down for you quickly here. There we go. There we go. Standings around the association as we play today. And you can see, let me get these to you here. Bring this down here to you for you as well. 6 teams are in. Chicago, of course, was over late last week. Milwaukee and King County. Milwaukee on Saturday, King County on Sunday. They're both identical records. They're 3 back. The number 2 seed is in the mix. Chicago was dang near a game, we're a game ahead at one point, but now they're back to 3 ahead. And they've sort of ride the ship. They won a couple over the weekend, and then Milwaukee and King County kind of beat each other up a little. I say beat each other up, and they split that. King County won 2 of 3. That kind of pulled King County even with Milwaukee and pulled the Milkmen back a bit. So there's a little breathing room, but still a 3-game deficit for the division lead there. I don't know the head-to-heads there. I don't know who's got what. I wouldn't venture to guess. But those 3 teams are in. Cleburne is 6 back with 7 to play. Their chance of catching King County, unless King County gets lost, King County, I guess, could go to a free fall, but Cleburne looks to be set. They got a 4-game lead. They're going to be playing Lake Country all week. Lake Country is 34-59. They played better, but it's going to take a major collapse for Cleburne to get caught by Gary. Gary has put themselves 4 back with 7 to play, and they've got, I believe, Milwaukee up next. Fargo, the chalk in the West, they're 62-31, 7-10. So is Kansas City, a 5-game ride. Again, Kansas City with a 9-game lead over Winnipeg. Winnipeg's 12 back. Now, here's where it gets interesting. This is the interesting part about this whole deal. This is where this whole seeding thing, we talked about the seeding thing. Winnipeg's 4 clear of Sioux City. Lincoln's still in the mix. They're 3 back. Sioux City, though, and Lincoln play later on this week. And I haven't even been watching Sioux City perhaps as much as I should, but Sioux City's got Fargo today. They got Lincoln this weekend. So that creates a delicious dilemma as well. And Winnipeg with a 4-game lead, let's just say Sioux City is able to pull a 3-game sweep over Fargo. I'm not going to say it's going to happen. I doubt it, but they could. And Winnipeg just drops 2 of 3. Or just drops 1 ball. I mean, again, there's game on here, so it's not a foregone conclusion that's how it's going to finish. Okay, look at the standings. Not a foregone conclusion that you're going to see. I mean, again, if the Monarchs win tonight, and Sioux City was to win tomorrow night, that's a 3-game deficit between Winnipeg and Sioux City. I mean, it could get very interesting by Thursday. And remember, Winnipeg's playing Thursday, so is Sioux City. They're playing. Winnipeg really has got the advantage because they're playing Sioux Falls this weekend. But, we've seen these things happen late in the year where a team out of it, Houston Apollos, the Monarchs had already won the division last year and swept Cleburne. I mean, there's that. So, I mean, there's all kinds of scenarios here. It makes a delicious week. For Kansas City, at least for the Monarchs standpoint, really, I think the really thing you got to think about, if the division's something that we're concerned about, I think to a degree, the team knows that no matter what, you're going to have to play, you're going to play, right? You're going to play, you're going to play, you're going to play. Eventually, you're going to play Fargo. You have to play somebody. You can't avoid him. And this team will play anybody, anytime, any place. The Monarchs are not. It's not a sitting around the office. Who do we want to play? I think more than anything else, it's probably more travel related for Kansas City because of where we sit down south of everybody that's above. Everybody in the playoffs is all above us except for Cleburne, and they're in the division. But everybody else in our division is all that way. And I think it's more of our travel than anything else, to be honest with you. And I think in Fargo's case, it's probably the same thing. That's why there's a scenario where they stay around next week, play us on Wednesday. There's a scenario where we go to Canada. And I don't know what we would do, assuming the Monarchs would have catch them. What would the Monarchs do? Will you go to Sioux City for the short drive? Or if it's Lincoln, you go to if it's Lincoln, you go for the short drive, I'm sure, because it's only 2.5 hours. I'm sure you go to Sioux City as well. But again, it's a lot to be determined still as far as the pecking order. It's closer than you think it is, but it's also not that close. I mean, on paper, it's close because 3 games, but there's not a lot of time left. The hourglass has just a little sand left. So, but a win tonight. And I think Brian's right. I think that's a very good point. You said it right. That's kind of what I was thinking. It's scary to play a team who's out of it. They have no pressure on them. They play. Yeah, you're right. Exactly right. It's their Super Bowl, right? It's the old. If you're a KU fan or a Texas Tech fan like I am, or Kenny's an OU fan, he knows this line of thinking. The University of Texas, who has got all the resources in all the world, right? They're the New York Yankees of college football, but they hadn't done well. Yankees have won. Texas hadn't won in a while, right? Alabama has. But Texas their fans always say, well, it's your Super Bowl. Everybody plays us because it's your Super Bowl. It's the same thinking. I mean, it's Sioux Falls' World Series this weekend, right? You're right on. And again, I thought they played well this weekend. I mean, I saw nothing from Sioux Falls that doesn't tell me they won't try. They weren't not trying. I mean, Aaron Takas is a good ball player. Jabari Henry hit a home run this weekend. I mean, Wyatt Ulrich is a machine who should be here, but he's a machine. And they have some pieces. It's just that they can't put all the pieces together, and they have some misfitting pieces in their bullpen they got a lot of young guys. It's a problem the league's having in general. There's a lot of young guys and unproven bullpen pieces that are having some hard times. I had a manager who I will not name tell me this off the record a few weeks ago that it's hard getting players than it used to be. It's harder to get players with experience than it used to be. Now some of the teams are younger. Not all of them, but there are a lot of younger teams out there, and Sioux Falls has got some good. Sioux Falls ran out 3 rookies out of the bullpen, true rookies out of the bullpen, 2 yesterday, 1 on Saturday. Saturday? Yeah. I think 1 on Friday. And 4 true rookies in the bullpen. True rookies. I mean, we're talking Brock Gilliam last year, who's just out of college, who didn't make the draft. And Brock's still a rookie, but he's not a rookie anymore. He's been in this league now a year and change. So anyway, questions, comments, last call on questions, comments. We about killed the hour here, haven't we? Just about. Maybe it stopped raining outside. I can get out there and polish off this. Nitro Cold Brew. Brought to you by the Roastery Coffee Company. Okay, tonight we're at 6. They do a great job of the dual stream here. We'll be on the dual stream on AA Baseball TV. And we're the only game on the association site tonight. We're the only one. Us. Well, and them. Steve Schuster's call on AA Baseball TV with the Winnipeg Gold Eyes. Mine on AA Baseball TV with the Monarchs. So you want your Monarchs content, you're going to get it tonight. We're going to discuss some things. Tonight's flashback, I believe, it's interesting in a sense. If you like some of the stories I've been telling, I'm going to talk a little bit about Andy Cooper in the flashback Andy Cooper, of course, he's a Hall of Famer. Monarchs legend, Detroit Stars legend. He was a legend in the Negro Leagues, passing at a very young age in the 1940s. And we've talked about him before. He's a guy we mentioned before. He figures into our. This is two flashbacks out of three where it's a former Monarch or a future Monarch facing the Monarchs. And that's tonight on our flashback moment, brought to you by Coors Light. And I'm working on some things from Canada. Canada has been a very big home to the Monarchs over the years. There's a long thing. And John Updike, our friend there from the South Shore, on TV, yeah, I think it's 1-3. I think it's 1-3. Yes, that's why I said earlier, Brian, we're not playing Thursday, so we can't worry about being the game of the week. Yes, I think you're right. That's been a bit topic of concern because Thursdays have been sort of a ho-hum day, and for the Monarchs, I think the Monarchs record on Thursday is what is it? Thursday record for Kansas City is that's very funny. Thursday's 7-5. Your worst day of the week has been Monday, but you only played 7 Monday games, so 4-3 on Monday. We don't play a lot of Monday games, so it's your best days have been Fridays and Saturdays. So are mine. Funny how that works. My best days are Friday and Saturdays. Anyway, so Kansas City's above 500 every day of the week. So there's 9-6 on Sunday, 4-3 on Monday. You only played 7 again. 8-5 on Tuesday, 8-6 on Wednesday, 7-5 on Thursday. So yes, I blend the 7-5, Brian, exactly on the game of the week. Carter, it's all on you, mate. The league headquarters. Yeah, that's we flip. We don't get those 3. We're 3-1 on Thursdays. We have 3 more wins on Thursday, it wasn't for that game of the week. You're right. So anyway, on the broadcast on Monarchs 101, I got a couple things I've been saving, and I got a couple Canada things I've been saving too. I got a real stack of things I'm trying to get to between now and end of the year. Mentioned over the weekend, the 31 championship, not the World Series, and just the national championship, which featured probably as many Hall of Famers as any series ever. I want to get to that at some point, probably next week in the postseason. I've got a couple things in the works. Again, John sent me some great things on Canada, the Monarchs in Canada. And let's see what else I got. There's a couple more. We'll talk about Curtis Harris. He's a really interesting guy. I stumbled across him a little bit in some box scores, and he was a really, really good player for the Monarchs and the Negro Leagues, and a very interesting story just in general. He's a guy that this day and age would have been a utility player, and B, probably a social media guru of some sorts, because he was sort of quirky and ahead of his time in that department, but maybe a little bit of maybe a little Albert Bell mixed in too. I don't know, but anyway. All right, last call on questions and comments. Get your broadcast reminders here on the screen, and we will be done. I do want to hear from you guys. This is your show. It is your show. There's your broadcast link tonight, AA Baseball TV. AA Baseball TV, where to find us. I'll put this up on the screen as well. AA Baseball TV. Hello, happy to see you too, my love. Happy lunch to you. Made it across. By the way, I made it across. Just so you know. And no, don't listen to Sneedo. He's wrong. He's totally wrong. Totally wrong there. Yes, the border crossing was smooth. Of course, it's probably the thing I think about the most in the off season is these days on Sundays, these road trip Sundays, where you're still driving, the sun's out. The guys are hilarious. They're funny, but they got to zip it when we get to the border, but they're funny as you pull to the border. The comments that they hear from the back of the bus, it's just funny. They just flat out crack me up. One year I got to record some of that because it's just funny. Just funny. Again, that's AA Baseball TV tonight. That's at 6. They begin about 6:10. 6:05. They're pretty close on time here. They do a lot of their coverage of their pregame there and whatnot. And the radio side, again, that's where you're going to hear all the extra stuff. Radio side tonight, that's where you're going to hear Monarchs 101 with DV. And that's where we'll talk about Monarchs in Canada. Also have our flashback moment, which I mentioned earlier. In 1927, we're going to. Flashback moment. Also, your association numbers around the American Association. Joe's show, brought to you by both by your Midwest Ford dealers, and get you ready for the broadcast tonight here from Winnipeg Shaw Park. Raining at the moment, or it has been. I'm going to go outside and see what's better. Hopefully it'll be okay, but it rained again most of the day, and supposed to clear about 2, so hopefully we'll be fine tonight. We'll be waiting around too long for this one. All right. Love you guys. Tomorrow, I hope to get out tomorrow and get out. And I did find a couple of shops that I'm going to try to hit up. One tomorrow, and we'll do the show on the streets of Winnipeg or in a shop in Winnipeg. Or we'll do it at the Starbucks downstairs, one of the two. But we're going to take the show. We're taking the show to the people, folks, tomorrow. Okay, so stand by for that. Hopefully around this hour too. We were on time today. We were on time today. That's a first in a while. We've been running behind, but we set a nice start with the week. I did something new this week. I didn't work out first. I'm going to work out second, following the show. So I can do that. I can do that on the road. So anyway, all right. Love you guys. I love you, WD-40. Love everybody out there. Again, go see our friends at Roastery Coffee Company. 6 locations in Kansas City. Get that cold brew. Get that chocolate and raspberry. Again, and I talk a lot about those because it's summertime and all that. But if you like, perhaps I love flat whites. You know what a flat white is? Flat white is a coffee it's a coffee with a real mixed in, how do I put this? It's warm milk, basically, foam to the top. It's called a flat white. No sugar, no creams or sugars. And that's one of my favorite. It's my favorite coffee to get. There's a long mac I also like, which they'll make those for you as well. Those are harder to find, but they will make them. That's more of an Australian thing. But you want a mocha, you want espresso. They got a really good espresso, by the way. Really good. So whatever it is, but they've got several different blends. Like I've talked about before, they source and they find, let's say Country A is having trouble producing what they need. They find what they need. And they source the best beans possible in the world. So a Roastery Coffee Company, part of the fantastic coffee culture that is Kansas City, our beautiful city there. And again, blows most. Granted, we're not a top 5 market. We know this. We're not Los Angeles. We're not the DFW. We know this. We're not Chicago. But we are better than them in coffee, I guarantee you. At least in most of the cases. Better than most of them. Maybe not. LA is pretty good. But there's some Houston. The bigger the city, I think the bigger the city, the exception of New York and probably San Francisco, the bigger the city, probably the worse the coffee is because they just got too many franchises. Anyway, all right. What's Paulie's favorite coffee mate is a long mac topped off. Long mac topped off. And I don't know how to make it, but that's what he gets. He loves long macs. It's a long mac guy. Usually with 1 sugar. That's what they use, the sugar cubes. I will go to Leader or Leedy or to Leedy or to Subi, and we'll have. I'll get a flat white. I'll get a long mac. Always the case. Always the case, mate. And then on broadcast, we have our broadcast coffees. Those are very different. Those are very different. That might be a swan draft. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? I'm not saying. All right. Love you guys. We're going to go out here. Going to work out and get to the ballpark at 3:30. We'll see you in the broadcast tonight. Ready for some 1, 2, 3 go Monarchs. I know I am. Everybody get ready. Get those voices ready. I want to hear you tonight in the broadcast. Please stop by the radio side and chat. The booth cam will be up too. That should be rolling as well tonight. So join us in the booth. The booth cam, by the way, is on YouTube. I probably should put a link to that. The Monarchs YouTube page, we have our booth cam, and you can see me stretching or focusing or missing foul balls while I'm literally typing, and I'm like, literally, you can see my hands. I'm going like, is that coming my way? I'm typing here. Or you can just kick it. Waiting the next class to start, Nate. What do you got here, mate? Waiting for the next class to start. First day of school, Moorhead. Oh, no. Listen, we'll see you tonight, Nate. Should I say congratulations on a first day, or should I say sorry for a first day? What do you say on first days of school at a certain age? At what age do you say congratulations or not congratulations, right? Because I mean, when you're a little kid, you're like fifth grade, oh, fifth grade, yay, third grade, yay, way to go, little Johnny, little Danny, yay. But there was a point in my life when congratulating, no, it's your junior year. I'm like, a whole year of this nonsense. Senior year, I was pretty fired up for senior year, I'll say that. Sophomore year in college, meh. Junior year, meh. That was senior year, I'm going to miss this. If I can pass math or French. Oh, man. Yeah, anyway. Yes, that could be it too, Brian. There's an old song, Jack Daniels, if you please. Was that Merle Haggard, I believe? Yeah, that could be it too. Yes, you're grading, knee deep. All right. I'm knee deep and got to work out. I got to work out, then have some lunch and get out and get in the ballpark, get ready for the broadcast tonight. We'll see you there. You guys ready for some 1, 2, 3, go Monarchs? You guys have been warned. Let's get ready. Here we go. Let me move this back. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, go Monarchs. I'll see you in the broadcast tonight, and I'll see you tomorrow on Monarchs Mocha. Play the music, Vaughn.